Hello. How are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you? Whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip, let's find out what readers are saying about it. Natalie Bell, who has 406 likes, says, 4/5 well, as the self-proclaimed romance hater, I'm giving this 4 stars. Which is probably like 6 stars in a romance lover's eyes. This was such a good story. I loved following it, and it was genuinely just cute. Her writing was just smooth and buttery. I usually don't like the FMC in romances, but I've only really read Allie Hazelwood, and all her characters are the same person in different fonts. But she was really relatable, and I was rooting for her the whole time. Her whole finding herself journey was so wholesome and heartwarming to follow. I relate to her relationship with her mother. And with finding friends. I think I do the same thing too. But I just didn't know how to express it until Emily Henry put it into words. I rarely sink the time into people and just conclude they'll be an acquaintance. Miles is a top-tier guy. I would totally date him in real life, and he'd give me so many butterflies. I'd also think he was being just nice like Daphne did, and not that he actually liked me. I love Julia and Ashley as well, such girls. I would love to have friends like them. I'm genuinely so proud of Daphne. It makes my heart so fuzzy and warm. I would have loved to live this romance. I couldn't give this 5 stars. For personal reasons. Because I winced at certain moments and was like, why isn't love like this in real life? Star operator, hard. I'm going to read another of her books. Which one should I read? Reading log 22/05/121 PMT. They're so sweet together. I am so jealous. Why isn't love like this in real life? See, this is why I have issues. 22/059 AMT. I relate to her relationship with her mum. 21/05109 PMT. No, it's all too quick. 21/051126 AMT. He's kind of cute. Why no? Hermitian conjugate matrix. Heart Hermitian conjugate matrix. Pre-reading. It's happening. This certified romance cynic is reading her first Emily Henry book. I will keep my complaining to a minimum, I swear. Hermitian conjugate matrix. Heart Hermitian conjugate matrix. May TBR. I. Salt to the sea. I. Powerless. I. House of earth and blood. I. Everyone in my family has killed someone. I. Bride. I. Listen for the lie. I. She's not sorry. I. Love on the brain. I. The familiar. I. A Court of Wings and Ruin plus A Good Girl's Guide to Murder plus The Clinic plus A Court of Frost and Starlight plus Funny Story. Chloe, who has 424 likes, says, ****, 3.5 stars ****. Once I was able to move past him being a stoner, having a messy bedroom, owning multiple pairs of Crocs, and having a thing for her moaning when she eats food. Often. I had a pretty decent time. Trust the process. I suppose handshake light skin tone. P.S. Dear Emily Henry, I love your banter so much, but please, find a substitute for the word chortle. I beg you. My tier list. 1. Beach read 5 stars. 2. Book lovers 4.5 stars. 3. Funny story 3.5 stars. 4. Happy place 3 stars. Melanie, who has 384 likes, says, ARC provided by the publisher via NetGalley. Feel like before I can say anything about this book, I just have to let you all know that I was born and raised in Michigan and started this Goodreads account in Michigan, even though I moved out west after college. But it is also important to know that Michigan people love other Michigan people. Lol, like, I am giggling while typing this. But it is also very true, and I have never seen another state have this kind of instant camaraderie before. My family still lives about 3 hours away from the Traverse City area. But I've been there so many times, especially during the summer. And this very long prologue of a review is just to say that Emily Henry really captured the magic of what is a Michigan summer, and it was absolutely perfect in my opinion. I'm also not sure a book has ever made me miss home as much as the setting of this book. And I just really wanted to emphasize how phenomenally done it was to me. And I would bet a lot of money she has lived there at some point in her life. Okay, the actual review. I think I can make a dot here. This book is, ironically enough, a story about one person trying to convince another person to build a home and life in a sleepy little Michigan city. But let me not forget to type that these two people's lives have crossed because both of their significant others have decided to leave them for each other. And our main character, after being dumped the morning after her fiancé's bachelor party, has nowhere to go because she picked up her life and moved it to where she thought she would finally set up roots. So she moves in with her ex's new girlfriend's ex. This feels so hard to type out, lol. And each chapter starts with a countdown of how many days until a fundraiser at her work at a local library happens, and then she will be able to leave. But maybe she can actually still set up those roots after the fundraiser. But in an even healthy and happier way, filled with some good healing along the way. That's what happens when your life partner leaves you for the nicest, sunniest, prettiest woman in the state of Michigan. Everyone is going to talk about this book on all platforms. So instead of me telling you more about this book, let me tell you some things I really loved about this story with some bullet points. Besides the Michigan bias, obviously, there is a very big difference between niceness and kindness, and this book really shows that. Throughout, as you get older, making new friends can be way harder. And friendship breakups can be just as devastating as romantic breakups. But also, it can be really worth it to let people in, even after you've been hurt by doing so with others, maybe especially after that. You can't untell someone your secrets. You can't unsay those delicate truths once you learn you can't trust the person you handed them to. This book also talks about some parental abuse that I honestly do not think I've ever read about before, and I know it is going to mean a lot to a lot of people. Also, the way that Miles handles that trauma in the present day was something that really made me feel seen and meant more to me than I have words to put in a review here. I need it to be okay. Because I need to be okay. As a kid, I just felt so fucking scared and powerless. All the time. And now, I just need to be okay. And this is also just such a book about community. And carving out space and safety and love with the people who you trust and want to build a home with. Especially when you've lived a life of not really having much stability. And the thought of it being taken away makes you scared to start to build it. Libraries will always be the heart of cities. With some of the most powerful tools we have to amplify voices and create change. I am actually typing this up during National Library Week here. And I just can't emphasize enough how important these buildings, these safe spaces filled with heart, and these librarians are. I would get so emotional when Daphne would talk about the kids at her branch. And the books she'd pick because of them. A reminder to just show up for your local library. Do donations if you are able. Time, books, and money. Make sure your library card is updated. Just show your appreciation in every way you're able to. To me, libraries have always represented the best of humanity. The way we all share knowledge and space. And how we find ways to look after each other. It's not a perfect system, but it's powerful. Overall, this just had so much to love. Actually, as I am typing this, I am considering making this a 5-star. I'm just not sure if I loved this as much as Beach Red. But it is for sure a new favorite Emily Henry of mine. But Miles is for sure the best love interest she, or maybe any other contemporary author, has ever written. And I absolutely cannot wait to watch you all fall with both him and Daphne, and their amazing funny story. Trigger plus content warnings. Drinking, smoking, a joke about suicide, brief mention of fetishization, to a side character and in a negative light. parental abandonment and neglect and an instability in past, child abuse in past, mention of loss of parents in past, side character, one sentence mention of cancer, side character's parent, anxiety depiction, and just a story about people going through a really hard breakup that has a little bit of infidelity vibes, even though no cheating did occur to them. Heart Evie's amazing Spotify playlist, blog, Instagram, YouTube, wishlist, Spotify, Amazon. Heartbeach. Read Heart Happy Place. Emma, who has 1,440 likes, says, "My heart is broken. I feel like I'm dying. The world holds nothing for me anymore. I'm 3-starring this book. I adore Emily Henry. And I have since her magical realism days. I'd happily read her to-do lists if she released them once a year. And I'm sure even those would have more banter and loveliness and whimsy than your average full-length release just by virtue of being written by her. I'd say the same about her grocery lists. But I already do read those. The woman writes a mean Substack. There were a few things I didn't love about this book. It tries to fit so much into a few hundred pages. Our protagonist, Daphne, is left by her fiancé weeks before her wedding, causing her to move in with Miles, her fiancé's new girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Realize she has no friends. Begin a quest to find herself. Get over the fiancé and fall in love with Miles. Join a variety of community groups and neighborhood activities. Make her current job her dream job. Repress some clear mommy issues I thought we were going to address. And fully get over her daddy issues. All of this is happening so much. It comes at a cost. Which is that typical Emily Henry magic. And I don't just mean the bygone magical realism I mourn every day and never shut up about. This book is not quite as funny. Jokes feel forced. Sometimes to the point that you can only identify something as reaching for funny because the character joked or played along instead of said. It is not quite as polished, with writing feeling a bit unconfident, full of words italicized for emphasis and, the whole verbs that aren't said thing. There are a lot of dialogue attribution words that aren't said. And the characters have none of their usual better version of reality charm. Miles' Nick Miller archetype would never work for me personally. But my real issue with him is that his character traits fade once we're supposed to see him as a romantic prospect. Our side characters, Ashley and Julia, feel like interchangeable jokebots to the point of being vaguely threatening. When they pop up on page in tandem, I feel a sense of unease. And to be honest, Daphne has no self-awareness. Because there's so much happening in this book, everything has to be incredibly simple. Daphne's issue with her dad, and Daphne's issue with Miles, and Daphne's friend's issue with Daphne all has to be the same. It makes for some moments of ridiculousness. Like, how can Daphne be melting down about being wronged on the same city block where she realized several hours earlier she had wronged someone in that exact same way? How could she be so unwilling to give the grace she expects for herself? And how could Emily Henry set scenes of this book on a cherry farm in Michigan when she knew what it would do to me? Specifically? Sorry. That's the last time I'll bring up magical realism. I think old Daph just has too much to figure out about herself. I think this abandonment would be so completely traumatic even if she hadn't built her entire life around her fiancé only to be left entirely alone. And even if it wasn't eerily similar to her daddy issues. And even if she didn't have a bunch of unresolved things going on up in ye old memory palace. That the last thing she'd be doing is sticking around someone else's hometown flirting with her new roomie. Especially since what she ends up doing is repeating the exact same cycle with no awareness at all. And in the worst offense. Miles' illiterate texting style reminded me of the himbos I used to date. Doing a lot of heavy lifting here. In my wayward youth, which should be a jailable offense in and of itself, Bottom line. Like anything Emily Henry has ever written, this is better than a lot of books. It just isn't better than most Emily Henry ones. Currently reading Update Me. Arriving to the world's biggest Emily Henry fan contest, but my competition is all of Goodreads. Guys, it's finally happening. Thanks to the publisher for the e-arc, TBR reviewee would like to request that no one talk to me about anything that isn't this for the next 3 to 5 business years. Robin, who has 1068 likes, says, make your love interest Nick Miller coded and I am seat also. There's no way that many people could comfortably live in that apartment at one time. Full blurb and review to be posted closer to publication. Thank you to Edelweiss and the publisher for providing the arc. Follow me on Instagram.